Hey.
Hey!
Oi.
I guess the cricket lost?
No, the cricket won. I can't find it.
I was telling Dave I could have killed it in 2 minutes, but then the house would be on fire, so...
Yeah, I need a kid.
Dead.
I need the kids, so...
You're on video.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to turn that thing off. I'm in the closet right now because it's nowhere. The only place I could hide it. I'm trying to turn off the...
It's okay, JD. This is a safe space.
It's 2018. It's time to come out of the closet.
Wah, wah.
Can you get Tom Cruise out of there, too? I mean...
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, you are listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And I am Cricketless, and I am John.
I am Cricket Full, and I am JD, who is broadcasting tonight from inside his walk-in closet.
John, JD, we told you, it's a safe place. You can come out of the closet. It's
Wah, 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 wah. Actually, tonight I can't because there's a cricket in my basement, and I can't find him. I fought the cricket, and the cricket won.
There you go.
You have cats, right?
No, I have 2 dogs. They could care less about a cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. That's why you need cats.
You sound like my son. He wants a cat.
No cats.
Yeah, we're not getting a cat.
Oh. Poor son.
2 animals is plenty for our house. We're good.
Yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. I'd like to rescue more cats, but 2 jumping on the keyboard at just the most inopportune times is enough for me.
Yes. So, how's everyone doing? John,
I thought you said that.
Is that it? That's how you're doing? That's your whole week? Fighting with cats?
Fighting brevity, basically. Trying, as, you know, if you're going to leave the stuff in the intro, basically trying to write an outline, and the outline is now 6 pages long. So I have to fix that about myself, and then continue on writing my book.
Is your summary longer than your book?
Well, no. See, the problem is that my editor asked for information about, would help her understand what's going on in the book. Well, there's stuff that happens way before the book takes place that I'm never going to reveal in the book or any of the books, but makes, that explains a whole lot. So
if it's not on the page and if it's not hinted at, she doesn't need it. You need to tell her the story that you're going to give your readers, right? Because that stuff it's important, but it isn't important. Like what drives the story is what's there, the meat, like the heart of it. Like all that little stuff, that's for you.
I know. Well, my biggest problem is that I'll probably have to pay her per page to read the synopsis.
There should be your motivation alone. Get it down to a page.
I know, but it's just so funny. This is a problem that you only find out when you start trying to write.
Yes.
It's like, I can't. John, be brief. 6 pages. That's as brief as I can.
That's really common, though. Most writers are much better at writing a book than they are at writing either a description or a synopsis. Like, that's tricky.
Seriously?
That's very, very common.
Huh. I guess that's why they tell you, what is it? I've heard that some writers, and this includes comic book writers and everything, they've told us before that, you should I guess there's a camp that says you should start by writing short stories first and then work your way up to a novel. I'm not doing that.
I went a weird way. I went screenplays, comics, then novel. So,
Yeah.
That
There's no wrong way.
the road less traveled, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works, right?
Oh, for sure. There's no wrong way. You just got to find your way.
My way is apparently like a wordy nerd. I'm just a wordy bastard, apparently.
Yes, you are.
That's why we're on a podcast.
Yes, you're a very wordy bastard.
Oh, by the way, I counted, and out of 6 pages, there are probably like about 300 at least 3-syllable words.
That's a lot. But that works for fantasy. Like, fantasy readers like that kind of stuff. They like long books. They like the Tolkien-esque stuff where it's a little bit longer and more drawn out. So you're playing to your crowd. Like, your tropes. That's a good thing.
Because we like to think we're smarter than everyone.
I'm like Abbott and Costello, just like oopsing themselves into $1 million. I just, I don't know what I'm doing. So
no, but it's never stopped you before.
This is true. That's the developer's mantra, isn't it? I don't know what I'm doing, but I will when I finish.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I'm doing. How are you doing, JD?
I'm really good, actually. Tomorrow's the big day. I'm launching my second novel, actually, Harvest Moon, and it's going to be available on Amazon and across all ebook and paperback retailers. So that's fun. I'm super excited. I've been tinkering with this story in one way or another for 25 years myself, and it's had previous life as a screenplay that didn't go anywhere, and it's kind of grown up with me. And this is easily the best version of it. It's the one I'm the most proud of, and I'm real excited. I'm really, really excited to get it out there. The early reviews have come back really positive, and trying to take a step into a new career. And this is it.
All right. Well, so. For those listening,
you've reached the writers podcast.
It actually launched yesterday since we post on Wednesdays.
Oh yeah, that's right. We record on Mondays. We post on Wednesdays.
Since the book's coming out Tuesday. So for those listening, JD, I know we've talked about it a few times, but there might be a first-time listener. What's the elevator pitch?
The elevator pitch, yes. The elevator pitch is a retired Chicago police detective comes out of retirement to investigate a copycat serial killer that turns out to be a werewolf. And the further he goes into the investigation, he discovers that it's him. And what do you do with the knowledge that you've become a literal monster? How do you handle that?
I don't know. Dave, how do you handle it?
I was going to ask you the same thing, John. Wait a minute. You beat me to it.
The dad jokes are just off the ball.
Got to be quicker than that, Dave. Just right off the block, man.
So it's a crime story that also delves into the horror world too. So, like I said, I'm real proud of it. I think it's really good for the genre. I love it, and I'm really, really excited to have people really dig into it.
Which I promised I would, and I am. What is it? I am like 70% finished with the book that I'm on that I was going to finish before I read yours. Is it going live in Kindle? Because you sent me the package and I was having to figure out how to suck that into the Kindle.
Yeah,
but
you just download it and open it in your Kindle. It'll give you the option there. The one I gave you is the advanced reader copy, the review copy, but it will be available to buy in Kindle. It will be available to buy in Nook. Will be available to buy in Kobo and all the other ebook retailers. It's also available on paperback if you order it on those same retailers. So this book, go ahead.
What's the difference between advanced reader and the release version?
The advanced reader version is basically the version I give away for free to people to give it a last look. ARC readers are super important to a writer because they catch some things. Even if I have a good editor, but I got an email today saying that I found like 5 typos. Which 5 typos in a book's not the end of the world, but it's nice to have those things fixed before it goes live. And they give you reviews, because reviews on Amazon are super important. As you guys know, Amazon is an algorithm. It's a search engine. So you want as many good reviews as possible. When you're a guy like me that's just really starting off in this world, reviews are important. And to my newsletter, I gave everyone a free copy rather than trying to sell it, because it's real important for me, from the people that know me, to get them to say, hey, you want to buy this book, and to say good things about it online. So that's the goal. And I hope you guys do the same thing.
Well, actually, I have another question. Is this the one that's the first part of a series, right?
It is actually it spins off into a series. One of the peripheral characters spins off into a series of his own.
Okay.
Following this book.
All right.
That book, the first part of that one, is actually available for free right now. But it's my reader magnet. So if you want to join my newsletter, you'll get a free book called Conspiracy Theory, which launches this next series of novels. But that officially goes live next week. So you'll be able to buy it for $1 on Amazon or download it for free and join my newsletter.
And coming soon thereafter, the J.D. Olivia universe.
First of all, it's Oliva. Second of all,
Oliva universe, yes.
Second of all, that's true. We will have, I got another book that'll launch around Halloween. Relaunch, actually. Hawk Hollow will relaunch on Halloween. And then we'll have the next 2 Jericho books that'll both be out before year's end.
You know, John, he's only been on the podcast for like a year and a half now.
I know, but
2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Oh,
no,
wow.
Wow.
Brady.
Yes, well, sometimes I put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, okay?
So there will be a link. There will be a link in the description of this episode to buy the book on Amazon, and I think we'll put a link for your newsletter on there, too.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I'll send you those tonight.
Yeah, can't wait to read it myself.
Like I said, I'm excited. This is the new path. Like when I met you guys, I was really focusing on comics. And literally in the time that we've all been together, I've really made the move toward novels because literally it's more cost effective for me and it's just a lot more freeing. Like I don't have to hire 100 different people to work on it. Just a good old editor and a cover artist, and I'm happy.
We scared you off comics that bad, did we?
No, it wasn't you guys. It was the disasters I've gone through with Kickstarter with artists.
Yeah. Yeah, we've heard those stories.
Yes, they're horrifying. So, like I said, the book's good. I really want you guys all to check it out. Faithful listeners to Superhero Speak. Hook a brother up.
Cool.
Cool. Anything else going on, or is it just concentrating on the book?
Concentrating on the book and fighting this goddamn cricket.
Cricket Wars.
That's your next book, right?
Might be. I got to make notes.
Well, right what you know. That's what they say.
So I really haven't been up to much. I mean, we celebrated my wife's birthday. Her birthday was last Wednesday, and then we celebrated it on Friday. And so we got her something that she's wanted for a long time. We got her one of those Ring doorbells for the house.
Oh, we got those too. Those things are awesome.
Yes, but I've realized I became quickly addicted.
You spy on your door?
Well, okay, so we live on a really busy street, and we've been trying to dial in the motion sense because it's been going off when like big trucks go by. But I quickly like hit the live view. It's like, wait, is there someone out there? So yeah, it's and then I've noticed like the battery's going down quickly. So
really, we haven't had that issue.
Well, because you probably don't obsessively look at the live feed.
No, you're right. I don't.
Well, you do know that some police, some police departments actually are using people's rings when you don't know it, right?
I've heard that.
It's actually true. So you can check with your local police department to see if they have access to it.
Okay. I don't know if they do because one of the things is like when the camera's on, there's a light that comes on.
Yep.
So I haven't seen that light go on by itself yet, but yeah, I could look into that. So yeah, I mean that's been my excitement, and had a family barbecue yesterday, and nothing exciting there. Just my sister wanted to see people because she moved far away, so we all had to go see her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but that's it. I was complaining about my job. I do finally have access, and I'm actually working now.
More importantly, do you know what you're doing yet?
No, not really. I mean, I know to a point, but it's one of those things.
We're developers. We never know exactly what we're doing.
No, that would just slows us down.
I know. It'd be boring then. Otherwise, I mean,
I can't make fun. You guys have real jobs. I mean,
well, I don't know. I don't know how real it is. So yeah, that's about it. So since I have a boring life, I spend time on Twitter, and we can go look at our social media madness. All right, so we did talk about the director of photography from Justice League had dumped all over the Josh Whedon cut.
Well, of course he did.
And we did get a couple of replies on that. EJ Free is editing. EJ Free is editing. Okay. On Twitter said, I'm not one to howl for the Snyder Cut, but I can't deny how his style is just better than Whedon's.
I don't think any of us can argue that. Like, he's definitely a more stylistic director. You know, Joss coming from TV and Snyder coming from music videos and television commercials. Yeah, he definitely has a better visual style. Like I've said before, man cuts a hell of a trailer.
I'd see. Well, I mean, yeah, he does. I'd say not by much though, because again, if you go back to Firefly and some of the other stuff that Joss Whedon has done, he does have a flair of his own.
He does.
It's different. It's not as epic sometimes, but
it's more. It's TV. If you watch a Joss Whedon movie, it looks like a TV, like a big budget TV show, but it looks more like TV.
Yeah.
Whereas Snyder's stuff has a great cinematic look to it. It just, when it comes time to people talking words.
Right. Yeah, it's the words that matter, though, and that's where there's a difference.
Correct.
In the opposite direction.
He has his own lens flare. Anyway. And then official 8BR. I don't know who that is. Is it 8-Bit Ray with another Twitter account? Probably is.
Yeah, Gorilla Brain.
Yeah. Officially, it wouldn't have made a difference either way. It was doomed from the beginning.
That's probably the more accurate assessment.
I think so. Oh man, I'm shocked they went through with it, with everything that happened with their previous movies, but
got to make that cheddar. Got to lose that cheddar in this case.
And then, of course, we had talked about our good boy Tom Holland and him saying, "Oh, Spider-Man's in good hands with Sony." Now,
the hostage video, you mean?
Now, please give me my puppy back. Timothy Jones, a cartoonist of
Sour Grapes.
Yeah, Sour Grapes, who's on our show before. He said,
"Who's recovered from his heart attack," which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe his Peter Tingle was giving him good vibes. Thank you, Tim. I know you listen to the show, and I like that one.
Nice.
And then, this confused me. I just had to include this because it was weird. So I always post an initial thing to promote the episode and pin it to our Twitter, and people don't usually reply to that one. POV Today, which I have no idea what this account is, said, "Watch the new and latest superhero to be introduced. A positive hero helping society and the community. Would love to share." So,
I think it's a dude angling to get on the show, but it's very unclear.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure, POV, are you angling to get on the show? Do you have a superhero you want to talk about? Or,
well, we could DM him and find out, right?
Or do you think...
Slide into those DMs?
No.
No.
Or do you think we're the next big superheroes? Let us know.
I read about werewolves. I don't know about superheroes.
My stuff kind of involves superhero type people, so.
All right, so then.
And there are no werewolves. Ha.
We got a tweet right from House of D.
This dude's awesome. We're actually following each other on Twitter now. I like this guy a lot. I definitely want to have him on the show.
So he said, "Wow, not only did you mention me, but you plugged my show. Thank you very much, kind sirs. It makes me not mind that JD called me House of D's nuts." I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have minded either way. It's funny, and I'm not above self-deprecating humor.
Yep. We're glad to have been of some service, House of D, and you can send the check to Dave Markowski. And
he will actually be on the show next week, boys and girls.
My man, I love it.
So
I'm excited.
Yes.
And I think his podcast partner responded, "Good shit," and that's a good nickname for the channel.
Yes.
So I give. This is what I do. I give, and I give, and I give. I got a free book. You should take it. You should have it. I give things.
Yes. You're a giver, JD. A giver! And then finally, we had talked about the Oscar buzz around the Joker movie. To which Random Randy Savage said, "Can I see the movie first?" And he's got a point. You always hear this like Oscar buzz stuff before the movie comes out, and it's like, doesn't the audience get a say?
No. Well, actually, at the Oscars, no. The audience gets no say. It's the Academy. That's not for us. These Oscar buzz things, that's to hype the Academy people because they vote with the wind. Tell me they don't. Tell me that's not true.
No.
That the Academy guys vote like, oh, this is where was Return of the King really the best?
No, it wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I have a Return of the King anecdote that I'll say for later, but continue.
No, it's true. I think The Two Towers was probably the best of the three. But no, they just waited to the end because it was such an epic thing. They had to give them an award.
And that's what they do, man. It's like when John Wayne won the Oscar. Like, John Wayne, a friend of mine almost punched me for saying this once, but I'll say it again. John Wayne played the same. John Wayne is John Wayne. Like, you know what you're getting. And they gave him the Oscar for, was it The Shootist? And they're like, here you go. You're done. You're old. Thank you for your service. It's like that gold watch.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. So, as I've mentioned before, I'll mention again, Randy Random Savage is one of the hosts of the Cult 45 podcast, which are members of the All Geeks Podcast Network, All Stars Podcast Network. There is currently a roundtable episode that we recorded, which is available on our feed, and you guys should check that out. And don't forget to check out the other podcasts in the network, which include So Wizard, Pop Prism Power Podcast, Gorilla Brain Podcast, Fans on Patrol, plus us, and of course Cult 45. So check them out. And on that note, boys and girls, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back. Woohoo!
Before we kick into the news, I said I had a Return of the King anecdote.
Oh, okay.
Last night I went and saw It Chapter 2. You guys see it yet?
No, I did not.
No, but I've heard some not so great things about it.
Okay, I'm curious because I'll lay this out first. This is why I was Return of the King. I found it legitimately scary. I jumped minimum of 11 times.
Okay.
I really was engaged. I thought it was really well acted, really well edited. The dialogue is really good. They made some good changes. Like, I thought the changes actually helped the story. It's the most of his adaptations because, you know, Stephen King kind of wallows into that Carlos Castaneda weird, what's the term I'm looking for? Like new agey kind of stuff sometimes in his book. Yeah, they do that a lot in this one. That being said, I looked at my phone at it was a 9:40 show. I looked at it at 11:30 and I said, all right, good, this should be wrapping up pretty soon. We didn't walk out of the theater till 1:45.
Yeah.
It just won't end.
Yeah. I've heard it won't end, and I've heard that the monster effect at the end was, you know, really, really worthy of, say, Xena Warrior Princess.
I didn't think that. Like, I didn't. The special effects on the monster, I do think they hold on it a little too long, and you can see, like, it starts looking a little digitally. But like when they first show up, they look really good. I think they make the mistake of saying, look how cool our monsters look, and they hold on them a little too long. But it was like Return of the King. Like, remember how that just wouldn't end?
Yeah.
And there's like 5 different endings, and they close up every possible loophole.
Yeah.
Like, it's good, but I mean, like, I feel like 30 minutes could have been taken off the ending, and it wouldn't have like changed anything.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. The only thing I've heard about the show, and this was Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard had mentioned on his Facebook page that there's a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade cabinet in one of the scenes, and apparently it doesn't fit.
He's right. I thought the same thing. Mortal Kombat 2 didn't come out till, I believe, Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat. They didn't come out till 92. And I don't think Street Fighter came out till 90, and the movie takes place in 89. So, I'm with Joey on that one. Continuity-wise, there are some holes.
How was the de-aging effects on the kids? Because they had grown up quite a bit since.
I'll be real with you, man. I'm not sure if they de-aged them or if they just shot all the scenes with kids when they made the first movie. Because they look great.
Oh, okay.
Because especially with Finn Wolfhard, because I just watched him in Stranger Things, and he looks a lot different now. But he looked pretty much the same from the first movie. Like, the fact that I didn't even realize they had done that until you said that.
Ah, okay. That's good. It's weird. This is what I'm hearing, but apparently, I don't know. Kind of trust your judgment better. So,
I mean, again, I don't judge special effects a whole lot. Like, I get engulfed in a story pretty easily. So unless they're really terrible, like I tend to accept a lot. Maybe I just like bad special effects and don't realize it. But I mean, like, the story works really well, and it's scary, and I like. It's my favorite book, and it's epic. It's 800 plus pages, and they were going for epic, and I think they just went a little too hard into the epic. But it's still good. It's still good. And I still enjoyed it.
All right, now can we talk about the news?
There's not much.
Sure. Yeah,
there's not much news this week.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
It's a slow week.
You guys.
Well, yeah, until CW gets its act together.
Got a while.
So do you guys know who Tony Vinciquerra? I don't even know how to say that. Vinciquerra?
Does it sound like Olivia?
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, I didn't until you made me read the article.
Oh, okay, yes. So he is the chairman of the board over at Sony, and he came out and said, "Yeah, the door is closed on any negotiations between Marvel and Sony for Spider-Man." So,
well, now we know who to send our hate mail to. Okay.
As they point out in the article, things do keep changing with this story on a daily basis. So, they're kind of taking it with a grain of salt at this point. We'll see.
Well, they're probably just both panicking because they saw the reaction on Twitter, and it was like, how much are we going to lose here? Because I read the article, and they're still like, oh yeah, we have so much that's Spider-Man can do, and we've got our own stable of characters and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, yeah, but you still are going to be basically looking at a character who's going to be acting like they have complete and utter amnesia in the next film.
Yeah. Oh, so John, we were talking about this before we started recording. I was listening to another podcast today, and they were talking about the issue being, okay, so Spider-Man has been in not just 2 movies; he's been in 5 movies so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but in his standalone movies, both of the villains are heavily seated in the MCU. Vulture started by taking scrap after the Battle of New York, and then his big plan when he got stopped by Spider-Man was stealing tech from Tony Stark, and Mysterio was an employee of Stark Industries.
Right, so basically what we're looking at is the more we think about it, the more the fans think about it, the more they're going to find that can't be said or used in the Sony movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, do they reboot the villains within the movies somehow?
No. Because we didn't talk about Vulture in the second movie.
No,
nobody.
But they want.
But it wasn't.
Their plan. That's something that Sony has wanted for a long time, is to build up to a Sinister Six movie.
Right.
So they want to use Vulture again.
Do they?
Sure.
Nah, they won't now because of that.
But everyone loved the what's his name?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
But he's not in Far From Home, and nobody said a word.
And he's probably signed a contract with Marvel.
Could have. I mean, no, probably not. The contract's probably with Sony, but you're right, based on his origin, you probably can't do that. Like I said, if they bring in Kraven the Hunter or something like that, or Venom, they don't have to talk about any of the Marvel stuff. Like, they can totally get around this.
Well, no, it's just, I know what you're saying, but and this is coming from, as I'm writing this book and trying to make dialogue sound human, it's going to be very hard for them to write dialogue for Spider-Man that evades
I just don't know.
everything, every piece of motivation that he's literally had his character built upon for the last 5 movies.
No, I disagree with that because the whole point of Far From Home is him they literally have him getting rid of his luggage, getting rid of his bag.
I don't know how you get to the 6th movie featuring a character and you totally ignore everything that happened before.
You don't talk about, in Endgame, we didn't talk about Obadiah Stane.
Well,
they didn't talk about Justin Hammer or Whiplash or Crimson Dynamo. I forget which one they made him. But, they didn't talk. You don't talk about those. It was Whiplash?
Yeah.
But his motivation, Tony's motivation was basically built on all of the stuff that he had been through before. And
because we know it. At no point is it referenced that he was in a cave in Afghanistan or the name of the other doctor that helped him build it.
In Iron Man 3, they talked about the stuff that happened in Avengers. And then in Age of Ultron, he talks about what happened in Avengers because those stories are building on top of each other.
But they could. They can't now. So, I mean, like, at no point in Iron Man do they talk about what happened in The Incredible Hulk.
Well, yeah, but you're being a little bit too general. The point is that, you know,
but none of that changes. Like, it's still there. You don't have to reference. You don't like. It's bad writing if you sit there and have Peter repeat his motives all the time. You get back and look to the '90s when he talked about power and responsibility and Uncle Ben every breath. Like, I don't think anybody wants it. Like, people are saying he's not going to be able to reference these things, but in reality, there's no reason for him to reference those things, especially if they aren't impacting the plot.
It's still.
But it's not like they're erasing it. It's still there. Like, Far From Home and Homecoming still exist as movies. Like, his continuity is still tied to it. They're just not going to talk about it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, are they even allowed to tie the continuity to it?
They have to. I mean, like, they're just going to ignore it.
Right.
Like,
and that's the problem.
But I mean, I'm saying, like, they don't have, but there's nothing to talk about.
Okay, how about this way? You have the one student who was a little kid, and then he didn't get blipped, and then he was now the same age as everyone else. He was in their grade. Like, that's related to an MCU event. What if they say
correct?
What if they say there's no reference, so now that kid's out of a job?
Yeah, he's not in the movie. He's just not in the movie, and no one's going to say, "Hey, why isn't that kid who's no one even remembers his name is not in the movie?" Like, no one's going to care.
Okay,
it's going to feel like they're just dancing. The dialogue is going to at some point feel disjointed or like it's missing something because they're going to be avoiding so much.
If they're bad writers, I agree with you. If they hire bad writers that can't build upon the continuity, let alone without constantly referencing to it, like self-referential writing in these movies is not a good thing. Like, especially when you don't have him playing off anybody. So you just move on. Especially in the next movie, they set him up. They're totally setting him up to be kind of an enemy of the state type character where he's got no one to turn to. So it's gonna work because he's not going to be able to say, boy, and he might even, they can probably get around to making jokes. Boy, I wish I could talk to the Avengers and there'll be like a sound so we can all have a laugh about it. You know, so it cuts it off. Like, they'll skirt the legal issues as much as possible to make reference to it without like wallowing in it.
So he's going to go on the run and he can't call any of the Avengers that he just fought a major battle with.
Nope, because
calls friends.
So
we don't know if there are Avengers right now.
Here's my worry, right? Because I understand what you're saying, JD, but at the same time, this is the company that destroyed the Raimi movies because they got too involved in the third one. They were heavily involved with Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and you saw what we got there. Mm-hmm. So now, without Marvel guiding them, and them walking in like, oh yeah, we've done this before, we know what we're doing. What kind of movies do you think we're really going to get?
Dave, I'm not saying they're going to do a good job. I'm saying they can't do it. I'm not saying they're going to do it well or they're going to knock it out. First of all, it's a different company than it was 10 years ago. There's different people in charge. I think that filmmaking, as far as superhero movies goes, is in a different place. I really do. And they did a great job with Spider-Verse. You know, so I think that they can hire people to tell a comprehensive, cohesive story that's good. That's not saying that they will. It's not saying they aren't going to drop the ball on it. I'm just saying, like, the reasons everybody is freaking out aren't going to have. I think Marvel is in a worse place than Sony is, to be quite honest with you. Because I think with Spider-Man not being able to be in any Avengers movies in the future is going to be more of an issue than Avengers not being able to be in Spider-Man movies.
Well, yeah, because they were building up to, if not replace Tony, to still be, you know, a leader.
So I get why Sony.
What his arc is supposed to be. His arc is supposed to be moving up from just a kid to being a leader.
Right, but Spider-Man never. The whole thing with Spider-Man is he never really hits that. Like, he's constantly in the in between. Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, the character of Spider-Man functions better when he's young. So we were never going to get Spider-Man in that leadership role because then you're not really being true to the character,
right?
Unless he's leading a bunch of young heroes.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know. I've never really liked him as a team player anyway. You know, like as part of a team like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I do. I think the Marvel. I agree with you, by the way, on that. I think that the MCU is worse off without Spider-Man, more so than Spider-Man is worse off without the MCU.
Well,
but the ball's in Sony's court. I mean, if they drop it, they're in trouble.
Yes. Well, I can think of one thing that might help the MCU out a little bit.
DC.
What if we get Kate Bishop in the MCU?
I love this idea. I think this is fantastic news.
Yeah. So Haley Steinfeld, who was the voice of Gwen Stacy in Into the Spider-Verse, has been tapped to play Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye TV series.
Kate Bush is very different.
Yes.
So,
oh dear.
So that gives you somewhat of an idea of where they might be going with the show, bringing in Kate Bishop like that.
Yeah, they're going to do Fraction and Aja's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That was a great book. Do you guys read it, or am I the only one who read Fraction's Hawkeye?
I haven't read it. I'm the DC guy. I have an excuse.
It's really good. Fraction's run on Hawkeye is really good. And Haley Steinfeld, who some of you may remember from the True Grit remake when she was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
She was awesome in that. And she's good, man. She's really talented. Yeah. I think it's good casting.
So there you go. So she'll take Spider-Man's place. See? You worry for nothing.
Possible.
And I accidentally closed my email.
Oh, well, I happen to have my email open. John's reading the emails before we start. Oh, my.
When did that start?
5 minutes ago. So Black Widow's alive?
Oh, is she? So this was an interesting interview they had with the one and only Scarlett Johansson, where she was talking about the upcoming Black Widow movie. And first she made a comment about how sad it was because of the finality it felt with the character. But however, in the same breath, she mentioned that she will be executive producing the next Black Widow project.
Scarlett Johansson is full of saying stupid shit. That's kind of her brand.
So you think it's a line?
No, well, no, I don't. I think she's probably right. I think she just totally gave away that the character's not dead. Like,
oh, okay.
She is very not the sharpest person when it comes to interviews.
It doesn't matter. She's pretty.
She is pretty, but
she's a good actress too. You got to give her that.
Yes, she also defends Woody Allen, who's a creeper. But,
I don't get that.
She says a lot of questionable things when given the opportunity.
Not the worst out there, but
no, that'd be Roman Polanski. But
yeah.
Oh. So anyway, let's not go there. Yeah. So I don't know. It also raises a lot of questions too about this Black Widow movie because again, everyone's assuming it's a prequel, but maybe it's not.
I think it's a Skrull. Not this is a Skrull. I think that the Scarlet that died is a Skrull.
That's what. Didn't I say that before?
You did. And, the more I think about it,
and you
and
guys
the more we learn
argued
about
with
this,
me, and jeez.
Why do you have to give John something? Come on, JD. Stop being a giver.
That's what I do. I told you. I give.
Yeah, it's very possible, and it could be setting up Secret Invasion. This movie, because they haven't really given any hint to what their overall storyline they want for the next phases. They just they gave us this line of we're concentrating on smaller personal stories.
Yeah, does that mean when you get the Soul Stone, the thing you kill has to be the concept of you love this person?
Well,
or does it have to be the actual person that you love?
I think it depends on if is this. Let's say she's a Skrull. Let's play this ballpark. If this Skrull did go through all that stuff with those Avengers, if the Black Widow we met has always been a Skrull or was switched out sometime around movie 1 and movie 2, then she has that relationship with them. So the trade is the trade.
That would make sense, but that would also push the timeline of her becoming a Skrull back pretty far.
We could be seeing it. That could be what happens in these movies. We don't know.
So, yeah. Wow.
We haven't seen nary a trailer.
I don't know.
Or a picture, come to think of it.
But if that's what they're planning, that would be pretty awesome. Actually, that would be like some really. Yeah, that'd be. They could be just retconning it. They could maybe they haven't been planning this, but they've had a long time to think about what the next 3 phases would be, or next 4 phases, right?
Probably got the next 8 phases planned out, and it's not really a retcon if you planned it from the get-go.
Exactly. Yeah, which would be really cool because that's such a geek thing.
Oh my God, you're making me also realize something. Speaking of geek things, so in Infinity War, the Soul Stone was the whole thing was that they told Thanos he had to give up something he loved, and Gamora laughs and goes, "Because he doesn't love anything," and yet he threw his daughter over the edge because he quote unquote loved her. Okay, so. Now we go to Endgame, and they simply say a soul for a soul. They don't say it's something you love, because technically, if you think about it, she committed suicide.
She loves herself.
Does she?
Well, who doesn't? I mean, I think...
No, I thought Black Widow, the whole thing was that she was always conflicted and really didn't like her life.
Well, I think you're right about that. I think I spoke too soon. I think that it's more of a case of sacrifice. I think that also counts because you're doing something for somebody. Yeah, that's a bit of a snafu that I'm having a difficult time speaking my way around.
And
let's see where it goes.
And add to that, what if your judge is the Red Skull? I mean, who's judging this?
That's true. He's not like he's actually known for being all on the up and up. He could have just been messing with both Thanos and them the whole time, just telling them whatever. He's got nothing better to do.
Yeah. All you have to do is really ask nicely.
Yeah. He could just be having fun.
Oh.
Totally.
All you need to do is drop a quarter over the edge and make a wish.
Make a wish.
Totally unrelated, but I always thought it would have been cool if Robert Redford's character in Winter Soldier turned out to be Red Skull. I was kind of disappointed that he wasn't.
I thought that was what was going to happen before the end of that movie came around. I thought that was what was going to happen.
I think
it would have been cool.
I think a lot of people thought that. And unfortunately, no, that did not happen.
Well, that and the Mandarin are probably 2 of the, most disappointing reveals.
We're getting a reboot. They're going to redo the Mandarin, so I will hold off on my constant Iron Man 3 criticism until the Shang-Chi film comes out.
Okay, but they haven't redone the Mandarin unless A, it includes the 10 rings,
yes,
and B, it includes Fin Fang Foom.
I don't know if you need Fin Fang Foom, but I kind of want Fin Fang Foom.
Of course you do. It's a dragon. Why would you want that?
John, do you not?
Don't you want to see Thor punch a dragon?
Do you not pay attention to the conversations we have on this podcast?
No.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yes, I do.
We already said they were redoing the 10 rings in Shang-Chi.
I know. I'm just saying.
I think he's just reiterating.
Oh.
Yeah. But there's also, we were talking about how they had the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 here or whatever, and it turned out not to be. So
yes, it turned out not to be.
They're pretty good at throwing us off.
They are.
That's their job, I think.
Look at this whole Sony thing. Nobody saw that coming.
No.
That wasn't throwing us off. That was that was just a mess.
So, switching gears a little bit, this was interesting because I think it would have been a completely different movie had this happened. But apparently, at one point, Zachary Levi, who is better known now as Shazam, wanted to play Deadpool.
Wouldn't have worked, I don't think.
I think it could have. I think it would just have been a different movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, though, because you think of Zachary Levi being a little more wholesome, which makes him perfect casting for Shazam, and Ryan Reynolds has the dirty mouth.
Yeah, and Zachary Levi just doesn't have the delivery that Reynolds does.
It's different. Like, Ryan Reynolds has that, quippy, sarcastic. Ryan Reynolds can only play the Ryan Reynolds role. Let's be real. He's really doing that thing. I think Zachary Levi actually has a little more range as an actor than Ryan Reynolds does. So I think he could have been a Deadpool. It just would have been a different Deadpool. It probably wouldn't have been as good, but it would have been I think, passable.
Yeah. I wonder, though, like, I don't even know if this is a thing anymore, but, like, do these actors have a brand in the sense of, like, you know, playing Deadpool, a foul-mouthed mercenary, would that have hurt Zachary Levi's brand?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think he's important enough to have a brand. Some actors have a brand. Leonardo DiCaprio has a brand.
Yeah.
Will Smith has a brand. Zachary Levi don't have a brand. I don't think, like, you got to be like a superstar to have a brand. Like I know they say that's a big buzzword. Like, oh, this is my brand is this, my brand is that. Like, unless you're like a known commodity, and very few movie stars move tickets just with their presence anymore. So I think that he could do anything, and I think people will be accepting of it. Like, I think people are much more accepting of character actors as stars than they were 15 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. All right. Then let's move across the street to DC. I mean, we've been talking about this Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover for a while, but the main reason I pulled this one is because of the wording in the article. Fan favorite Jonah Hex will be included in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. I don't, like, is he a fan favorite?
He has a following. He's been around for a long time. I mean, he's not an icon, but I think fan favorite is a decent way of putting it.
Yeah, and he appeared in, they had him in Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just plain Justice League in Bruce Timm's run. They've had him in Legends of Tomorrow a couple of times.
I'm pretty sure he did a Brave and the Bold too. That Batman show from about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, probably. No, I think you're right. I never finished out that run though. So we won't talk about the movie. Because it's a DC movie, and it went about as good. It went about as good as you can expect.
Well, I was gonna say that I thought the movie flopped like terribly.
Oh, it did.
It did. It flopped like a rag doll.
Okay.
It ragdolled.
That's more because it was a bad movie. Like, Catwoman's a fan favorite villain, and that Halle Berry movie was trash.
Oh God. Yes. So
it was the greatest achievement in cinema history.
Sure.
Says the Razzies.
Yes.
Hey, Halle Berry accepted her Razzie for that movie, so I give her credit for that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it.
And that's it. Real quick before we move off of this, that same podcast that I was listening to today, also it said, now I think this is complete, total BS, but that apparently, since they got Kevin Conroy to come and play Batman, there's a rumor now that Mark Hamill is going to play the Joker.
I've seen that.
I don't know if I believe that or not, though.
Yeah.
Is he going to play? Is he going to come on as? I mean, they have a relationship with him. That's not
right.
that
And
hard to believe.
He was the trickster on The Flash.
Trying very hard not to do his Joker voice.
But I can't picture him doing a live action Joker. I don't know why.
Why? He did the trickster. I mean, they're almost the same thing. I mean, almost.
To be fair, he was the trickster in the old Flash show before he was the Joker.
Right.
And
You are correct.
using that voice then too. He just kind of recycled it because, quite frankly, who thought that show would ever be relevant again?
True. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. And of course, they then theorized because Burt Ward is also going to be there. Oh, they're going to probably pair him up, that Batman and Robin up together and have the aging Joker, and it'll be some, universe where they've aged out. And it's just like, I don't know.
I don't think that's that much of a stretch, to be honest with you.
Really?
Like, usually I laugh at fan theories, but this one has, I don't know, I think it's kind of grounded in some I'm not saying they're going to, but I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, but do you want to see Burt Ward in that costume again?
No. He's got to change his costume. They ain't got to do that. Remember John knows. John, remember the old Earth 2 Robin costume from the 70s?
Oh, yes.
I'll do that.
Yeah. And also, wouldn't it be interesting if, like, okay, so Kevin Conroy is Batman. what if he wasn't just Batman that aged out? He's Batman, and they also had a Terry McGinnis there.
See, I thought we talked about this on the show.
I would love them to backdoor a Batman Beyond.
I agree.
Show, that's what they did with the Flash. They backdoored it there, and they backdoored Batwoman by having her on the crossover last year. So,
and they have this future timeline thing happening with the Arrow people.
To be fair, I think they would have announced that though.
Maybe they're going to trial balloon it and see what the interest is.
That's what I'm saying. What if you just do it as a scene in the episode to see how people react?
I agree with you, but I think they would have announced, because they're not big to announce things. I think they would announce so and so is playing Terry McGinnis. I think they would do that, because we knew that Grant Gustin was going to guest star on Arrow playing Barry.
True.
They told us that. So, as much as I'd like it, I don't think they'd keep that quiet. I think they would at least say Terry McGinnis. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and he does show up, but the surprise thing doesn't seem to be their quote unquote brand.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep my hopes alive.
Me too. That'd be awesome.
All right, and then we have a fan theory. This one I thought was stupid, but since we discussed another fan theory, we'll talk about this one. That the Joker movie is actually setting up the Flashpoint version of Batman.
No.
How?
Because it's taking place in the when Bruce would be a kid, and that the Joker kills Bruce instead of the parents.
That's not what happened in the Flashpoint Batman. But
yes, it is.
No, it isn't. The Joker's his mother.
Oh well, that's right. It wasn't the Joker that killed him. It was It was Joe Chill still, but yeah.
Yeah, and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman.
Right.
That's just nerd pontificating. You don't hire Martin Scorsese to do a Flashpoint.
No, not even close. I mean, we like our rumors, but this one's just not going to fly.
This is the most ridiculous fan rumor I think I've ever heard, just because of the players involved in it. And Flashpoint, why would they're not going to do a Flashpoint in the movies. You're gonna bog movie viewers down with DC continuity. That'll spike tickets.
Right. Well, not only that, what essentially are you setting up? You need Flash to set up Flashpoint, and they're trying to say, oh, well, they're setting up a darker DC universe, and it's
that's what we have.
They've already made it pretty dark. We've already got a Batman that kills plenty of people, and a Superman who breaks necks.
It's a Superman Holocaust. We don't need a darker DC universe. This is the worst fan theory I've ever heard.
Yeah, and then the thing is, too, one of the main reasons I was like, yeah, this is stupid is because, not only the Martin Scorsese thing, but all this Oscar buzz around Joaquin Phoenix, it's that would just cheapen the movie.
Yeah.
If at the end of the movie he kills Bruce Wayne, it'd be oh, well, really?
That's the thing about living in the comics bubble, is you think that normal people think like you, and Flashpoint is not. They've been trying to get the Flashpoint Flash movie off the ground. By the way, I believe Andy Muschietti of It was just been hired to do Flash movie. It's not going to happen. Flashpoint is a movie. I'll eat my hat on this podcast if they do a DC extended universe, whatever we're calling this thing, Flashpoint.
Okay.
Hold me to that. I'll live stream it.
All right. So Warner Brothers, if you want to see JD eat his hat.
If you want to spend nearly $1 billion to watch some random dude eat a hat, please go ahead.
You'll gladly do it then.
Yes.
This is the $1 billion hat meal.
Mm-hmm. And I'll gladly eat it just in spite. I'll be fine, I'll eat a hat. And they'll lose $1 billion.
Well, speaking of $1 billion ideas, apparently Margot Robbie might be rebooting Tank Girl.
Another reboot.
So apparently, her production company optioned the rights from MGM. I think had them, and
they probably optioned them from. They probably had to option them directly from Dark Horse or or the creator.
Okay. So yeah, so her production company apparently has optioned it at this point, and all signs point to a reboot. So here's a question: like,
it's gonna be good.
If you're Margot Robbie, do you want to be the producer on this, or do you want to star in it, or both?
Oh, she's starring in it. Like you do both. Like that's what a lot of these big actors do is they become producers on the movie so they can find projects for themselves so they can make money for appearing and then on the back end as a producer.
Yeah.
It's going to have to change a lot though because this movie was a 90s movie. Like this was a 90s movie.
I mean, I've never read the source material, so I can't comment on it, but I imagine they'll make it playable somehow. I don't know. I don't know if this is a great idea.
They'll make it dark. I mean, the original cast, like Lori Petty and Ice-T and Naomi Watts. Lori Petty is a hard act to follow for Tank Girl. Although who knows? But it was definitely a movie that was a complete and utter product of the 90s.
It was also a bomb.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it was a bomb, definitely. But I mean, the closest analogy I can think of is like RoboCop, like how they updated RoboCop right, and that didn't go well because RoboCop was again a product of its time,
right? And RoboCop's a movie that plays off of technology was advancing quickly at that time with personal computers and like, oh, where is this going and blah, blah, and the possibility of a cyborg police officer. It fascinated people at the time. Trying to reboot
that's like RoboCop is a great 1987 commentary.
Right.
Yes. Oh yeah, it was a commentary, it's actually still, I mean, it's still a great movie.
It's still, for sure, 100%. Yeah. But like in the material is a direct reflection on, 1987 America.
Oh yeah, they had jokes about thermonuclear war there. I mean,
nuke 'em. Yeah,
yes.
That's total 80s humor. I'm really glad you guys brought up RoboCop because I'm going to tie this back into the very next story. Continue.
So yeah.
Oh, okay, Tank Girl. Good luck.
Yeah, and that is one of those things like movies that are a product of their time and they try to reboot them and they don't understand why it doesn't work. Tank Girl, yeah, I don't know. I didn't care too much for the first movie, but we shall see. All right, so moving on then.
JD, this is
all you. So apparently Hellboy is now a wrestler. So it was a promotional stunt because Hellboy is being released in Japan, which I thought was like, why was there such a long gap between it being released in the United States and being released in Japan? But it's being released later this month. And in a Japanese wrestling match, they had Hellboy there. And of course he won his first match.
The lag was because they had to resync the lip flaps to the Japanese dialogue.
Oh, that's just wrong.
Yeah, it's a little bit racist.
Yeah.
What? No.
That's actually a lot of bit racist, but we'll let it go.
No, it's not. That's an anime joke.
It's also a movie that like majorly flopped in the United States.
Yeah, but sometimes movies do really well overseas. There's been movies that don't play well in the U.S. that do great in China. I've never heard about one doing great in Japan, but it's not uncommon.
So what do you think? Like, you were talking about the Japanese wrestling scene.
Oh, bro, let me tell you, this was a thing on wrestling Twitter. So Shohei Baba is rolling in his grave right now. The company that this happened for is All Japan Pro Wrestling. In the 80s and 90s, All Japan was the wrestling promotion in Japan. The King's Road style of wrestling was huge. Like all these Americans, like the Road Warriors and Bruiser Brody, would go to All Japan and make a ton of money. It was the biggest promotion in Japan. In 99, its founder, Shohei Baba, Giant Baba, died, and his wife took over the company, and everyone left. And it's never recovered.
Wow.
This was the most serious. Like, if you go, like, I know you guys won't, but people are listening. If you go back and watch, like, Toshiaki Kawada and Mitsuharu Misawa matches of the 1990s, they're unbelievable and so amazing. Like, All Japan was the height of, like, sports Japanese, or, like, sports wrestling, like, the most serious product. Flash forward 20 years after the founder's death, and they have Hellboy wrestling in the promotion. And you didn't even see, like, this article doesn't even give justice to how freaking awful this was. Like, when they take, because in Japanese wrestling, these 6-man and tag teams they're very common. Like, you have these, like, 3-on-3 matches that are called 6-mans. Like, they're very normal to have on a big show. Like, you have a bunch of these. And it makes sense that they would put this character in this spot, but watching him actually move and quote-unquote work was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It reminds me of in 1990 when Sting was hurt in WCW and the Four Horsemen were after Sting, and WCW and Turner Home Entertainment thought it would be a good idea for Sting to bring in RoboCop. And RoboCop escorted Sting to the ring, and the problem was the dude, and it wasn't Peter Weller, it was a dude in a metal suit moving remarkably slow. And Ric Flair and Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson have to pretend to be scared of RoboCop. And it was stupid then, but at least they didn't put RoboCop in an actual match. This is horrible.
All right.
And I like silly wrestling, but this is terrible.
Well, it could have been worse. They could have had Trump in there too. He's not unknown to those.
Oh, he is. They do some stuff with him and DDT, the comedy promotion in Japan. So,
but I have to give it to whoever was under the costume, because it looks like at least the top half is a rubber suit, mask and the body covered, and the hands are covered. Like, he had to have been sweating like a pig in that thing.
Oh yeah.
You do anyway in those things. Some of those, like the bigger outfits that they wear.
Yeah.
Like, that's not terribly uncommon. But this was not good.
I don't know. Is the stone fist considered a foreign object? I mean,
I don't know. Hulk Hogan and Cody Rhodes get to whip people with the weight belt they wear to the ring. So why not have Hellboy's stone fist? This is so stupid.
How do you really feel, JD?
Rest in peace, Giant Baba.
Do you think they put this together because the movie bombed?
No, they put it together because, like, the studio feels like they can make money with this in Japan, and they probably went to New Japan first, the big promotion now, and they got laughed out of the door. And they went to All Japan next, which used to be big, but it's not big anymore. And they said, "Yeah, we need money because their promotion's not doing great."
Well, if they don't get money, at the very least, they'll get a lot of promotion out of this.
They're getting some. That's what they're getting. They did get a lot of notoriety. They got a lot of pub. Thank you, and they probably got a nice little check from the studio to do it. So
that works.
What's your soul worth?
Well, apparently it's one Hellboy.
Yeah. I wonder what Mike Mignola feels about this, to be quite honest with you.
That's a good question. He probably isn't too happy, I would think.
I don't know. He's not a complainer, but I'm very curious to know what he thinks of this.
Maybe he just hasn't had the right thing to complain about yet. And this will provide that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You create something like that, and then you sell the rights off to these companies to make a movie, and
yeah, that's true.
It's got to eat at you a little bit. Actually, yeah, I mean, one of John and I's favorite book series, the Dresden Files, and the author Jim Butcher. So there was a short-lived show on Sci-Fi Channel, and if you go on Netflix, go on YouTube, you can find this. There's an interview clip before the show launched at like some kind of press panel where they're talking about it, and then an interview with him like a couple years after it was canceled. And at the interview where they were like launching, he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been on the set and everything looks great, and I think they've made all the right choices with casting, and I'm so proud to be, that Sci-Fi Channel is doing this, and I can't wait, blah, blah, blah." And then the interview 2 years later is like, "Yeah, I had no control. It was terrible. I couldn't say anything."
Oh, jeez.
Well, that's the thing with that, though, is you're getting a nice check, and you don't want to torpedo your own project, because there's probably contracts. There's probably, like, no disparaging clauses in the contract, and you also, you can get paid a lot of money, and plus, you don't know how bad something is until you see it.
Yeah.
And in its defense, Paul Blackthorne was pretty good. I think it was good. There were just some changes that the fans couldn't handle, like Bob being an actual person instead of just a skull, and the storyline.
Okay. First off, he didn't have the beetle. He didn't have the blue bug,
because he didn't fit in it. That was the problem.
And they also didn't think, and it was harder. It was harder to film, and that's why he all of a sudden was driving a Jeep Wrangler. And then, of course, he didn't have a wand. He had a hockey stick. And they don't even explain why he's got a hockey stick in the show.
Right.
And it's just it was stupid.
Yeah, no, the storylines were not great. He, as an actor in it, was okay. I mean,
I don't have anything against his acting. I think the studio just made way too many changes for the sake of whatever on the TV, and they ruined it, you know?
Yeah.
It's also one of those things, too. The show was made when he was only 2 or 3 books into the series. So, you know, they also didn't have a lot of material to draw from, so they kind of just were making up their own stuff.
Wow, he got that only 2 to 3 books into the series?
Oh, yeah. That's a very popular series.
That's impressive. Oh, I know that, but I didn't realize there was only 2 to 3 books out before they went. So it was probably only like 2 books before
it was 2007 when it came out, so... and it's really like the second and third book where it starts. For those of you who don't know, Jim Butcher is writing this 20-book overarching, like almost Avengers like storyline. And I think he's promised that the last 3 books are going to be Armageddon. And so, you know, he was only just starting out on that after the success of his first book. When they did this show. So there were things in here like the red vampires and stuff that didn't act like they were described in the books from then on.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were three types of vampires in his books.
Well, it's also, if you're talking 2007, this is still back in the era where executives thought they knew better and didn't feel the need to stay close to source material.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Which I always think is ridiculous, too. It's like,
agreed.
You're picking the source material because it's popular. Why do you change it?
You just asked the great question of 30-plus years of adaptations.
Okay.
I mean, that's, yeah.
Well, speaking of adaptations and reboots, apparently, now, I would take this with a grain of salt, but apparently there's a rumor that Disney is going to reboot the Die Hard series. And
yeah, they can just go jump in a lake.
So this comes off the heels. Apparently, there was a big announcement of all the film projects that were canceled at Fox, and one of them was they were making another Die Hard movie, and that got canceled. And so now apparently, though, I think that created some buzz. So now they're talking about rebooting it. So that's the question, right? Is it one of those things where, like, Bruce Willis is John McClane and no one else can play him? Or, you know, another good actor could step in and take the role?
Or why do we even need to reboot it?
Because you reboot everything, because no one has faith in a new property.
Right.
You know, I actually heard Mark Bernardin on Word Balloon talk about a very interesting reason why this keeps happening. And a lot of it has to do with the death of the home video market. It's because back in the day, studios would release a bunch of romantic comedies and a bunch of thrillers and a bunch of, you know, lower budget movies that would do mediocre at the box office, but would then find these huge lives on video stores.
Right.
And now that doesn't exist anymore. So a lot of these projects are going direct to Netflix. So the studios are forced to make these big budget blockbusters, which if everything's a blockbuster, nothing's a blockbuster.
Right.
And the way to safely do that is to take a property with some accrued interest into it. And of course, we as consumers are freaking sick of it. And everyone talks about how sick of it they are. And these movies keep dying, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to green light a bunch of new stuff because, look at the Wachowskis. Every time they try to do something new, no one goes. And then, to be quite frank, I don't think a lot of it's very good, but they're trying.
Well, that even goes back to the Joker movie. It could probably be a really good movie that's just delves into the mind of somebody who becomes psychotic, you know, and their relationship or whatever. But instead of just doing a good drama piece like that, they have to go, well, it's the Joker. So you'll go see it because it's the Joker.
And they're right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right. That movie would do typical Scorsese numbers. You know, it would do good box office.
Right.
As the Joker, it's going to do great box office. And this is why, is we keep feeding the beast. Meanwhile, Netflix, Prime, and Hulu are the ones that are actually doing cool content.
Yeah. And succeeding with it.
No, absolutely.
Greatly.
Absolutely. We're just living, the way he put it, I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. Like, and I don't know if, I think anybody could play John McClane. I think Bruce Willis's John McClane got stupid. Like, the last, last couple movies, like, you totally got to wait. Like, John McClane was an everyman who was very human and stuck in these ridiculous situations. Like, he gets beat up in the first Die Hard movie. Beat up. And that's the appeal to it. And by the last one, he's jumping off of planes. Like,
they were indestructible in that last one.
Right. And that's not what the Die Hard, we joked about this before, but that's not what the Die Hard brand is about. Like, Die Hard is supposed to be a very realistic action movie. I don't think that Hollywood can make that movie today. And quite frankly, I don't know if studio box office wants that. I think they want something ridiculous. But at the same time, if you give them more ridiculous Die Hard, they're not going to connect to it.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing too, right? Like, you reboot it now, it's going to start off ridiculous. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get your everyman John McClane. And
then it's just like everything else. So you take away, because I tell what's happening. They're not gonna understand what made the first Die Hard special.
Right.
And they're not gonna do it right, and it's gonna be a failure, and people will joke about it and forget it. Kind of like, I hate to crap on the Ghostbuster movie, but it wasn't very good. Because it was so controversial, I really wanted that movie to be successful, but it wasn't, because it was the studio put ideas ahead of story.
Yes.
And it didn't work. And Die Hard's gonna be like this too. They'll cast someone cool, and he's going to be doing hanging out of planes and stuff like that, as opposed to walking over glass and being human.
Yeah. Horrible.
This is why I'm not a studio executive, because nobody wants Debbie Downer in the room.
No.
I thought I was Debbie Downer.
I'm playing the role today.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
The Debbie Downer sisters.
Everything sucks.
Yeah, no, it's so true, too, because, God, I'm sorry. Who wants all of these live-action Disney remakes?
Nobody.
Somebody wants it. But they're making good money. So, I would agree with you, but someone is watching them. And I think it's a lot of people my age that are taking their kids to see it. And it also spikes interest in the animated properties. And I don't like them either. I haven't seen – the only one I saw was Maleficent. And that one was, at least they changed up stuff a little. Now they're just going shot-for-shot remakes.
Well, yeah, except that for something like Lion King, which I saw, is, you're not seeing the expressions on the face of these things because they went as realistic as they could, which means that lions don't smile.
Which is why it kind of came and went with a whimper. Aladdin has made a killing. Shocking to me. But the Lion King movie, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just another...
It's funny, on the Geek World All-Stars crossover, we talked about it, and it's there's something creepy about just a warthog and a meerkat talking without the cartoonist expressions.
Exactly.
It really loses something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cartoons need to be cartoons.
Right.
Yeah, we might as well have been watching Air Bud.
That's
even Air Bud, the dog smiled.
Well, it's like water. No one really talks about or remembers Watership Down, because they played it for the time, especially very photorealistic for an animated piece. And the animals didn't their faces weren't expressive enough as compared to, how to tell a story. And there's some gory, violent things in that movie, but it doesn't capture an audience the way for quite frankly a Disney movie would.
Right.
Or some Don Bluth would have done. Granted they're going for a different kind of market, but the animation-wise, it still didn't grab people that way.
And I didn't include this, but speaking of the Disney remakes, they're making Hercules, and did you hear who got cast as Hades?
I did not.
Well, he's in talks to play the character.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, for fun.
No, I actually kind of like that one. so I'll let that one live.
Do they do the flaming head?
He would make a great Satan, but I don't know about Hades. I don't know.
He's a good actor, and he's very chameleon-like in a lot of his performances. I do think he's kind of a go-to guy when it comes to stuff like this now. But hey, he got him. He's got boats to pay for. So,
but he doesn't have like the attitude of the Hades character. Never mind. It just.
Let's see what he. Let's see what he does with it. Because his Doctor Strange wasn't like his Sherlock.
No.
I think he's a good. He's an example of what I talked about before. He's a character actor that in this Hollywood environment can be a star.
Or it was different than his Smog.
Who was a dragon?
Smog.
He's not the problem with those movies.
What?
He's not the problem with the Hobbit movies.
No, not at all.
Guillermo del Toro was the problem with those Hobbit movies. And Peter Jackson.
The fact that they made 3 of them was the problem.
Yes. They milked a 300-page book as much as possible.
So, hey, is it even really 300 pages?
I'm not even sure. I just kind of pulled that number out of my butt. It might be less than that. It's not long.
Especially if you take out the maps and the songs. It's probably, it's probably 120 pages.
But we had to milk that. We had to milk it. Had to make sure he turned every last time on it. Because, again, it feeds into the Hollywood system. The monster needs to be fed. And, it feeds on nostalgia.
Yes, it does. And,
Netflix is cool.
What?
I said Netflix is cool.
Yeah. For now. Until they go the way of Hollywood.
Well, even Amazon's had a few good ones.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention this, too. I just saw this today. Since we've talked about Netflix a couple times and how great and wonderful they are, however, they started the streaming service crap. And there's
They did.
I believe I don't know if it was NBC or if there's another one that's coming. But they're taking Friends and, it would be NBC, Friends and The Office off of Netflix to put them on the NBC streaming app.
That's NBC's call, not Netflix. They don't want to.
No, I'm not blaming Netflix. I'm saying why?
Because Friends makes a killing on these streaming services, and NBC owns that, and they're like, that should be all ours, not theirs.
It's just going to ruin stuff when they start separating it into,
We're there. We're about to hit the Hunger Games of the streaming services.
I say this is going to become the war of the roses for streaming services here. It's going to not be good.
DC has already proven that there's only so much you can do. That app is dying a slow, painful death.
Yeah, and the thing is, people are going to have to draw a line at some point. They're going to be like, I can't subscribe to 10,
I think Disney Plus is the line. I think anything after Disney Plus, people are going to go, nah, I'm done.
Yeah. And the thing is, too,
who can afford another entire cable bill?
That's what I'm saying. It's not going to happen.
It's
not going to.
And let's be honest, right? Right now, unless they pull it in from syndication, which they won't because they make a crap load of money off of syndication. But Nick at Night and TBS both show Friends constantly.
Because not millennial. I'm a millennial. The kids young. I forget what they're called. The kids younger than me.
Generation Z.
Generation Z, thank you. They love Friends. And all the kids I coach, they talk about Friends. Which is, I don't know, I used to watch Cheers when I was their age.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of 70s sitcoms and, growing up and early 80s things. So I guess it's not too weird. But I never really liked Friends all that much. So it's interesting to me. Yeah.
Cheers was a bellwether. It was a lot better than Friends.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, they still never explained how a part-time masseuse afforded an apartment by herself in New York City, and a waitress and a before Monica had her own restaurant.
They do. To be fair, they do explain that was her grandmother's restaurant or their grandmother's
apartment.
It was rent control. They do explain that. So she was paying 1950s rent on some of that. They do kind of reference it a little bit, but it's remarkably unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. I don't know, man. The streaming wars are here. So don't forget to sign up for Disney Plus. All hail the mouse.
Yeah, all hell knows. Bow before him, genuflect toward Mickey. Let's be real. The vast majority of people that listen to this show are going to have Disney Plus by the end of the year. I think the vast majority of people that host this show are going to have Disney Plus by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I think so. I know.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Yes.
You love your streaming apps.
Yeah, well, I've got so many of them. It's time to. I mean, like I can get rid of Hulu if I take Disney Plus because it includes Hulu.
Yeah, that's how we're going to get it because we have Hulu
and Rooster Teeth
together.
See, that's
apparently
the thing.
It includes Rooster Teeth too.
That's the thing too. There are a couple of things I want to watch on Hulu, but I have yet to subscribe. So now it's like, oh well, wait a minute. I'll just get Disney Plus so I can also get Hulu.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a great idea. I mean, like I give Disney a ton of forethought in thinking of this to go. Well, just put them all together.
Yeah. Oh man.
And mouse people are smart. They hire smart people.
Oh yeah.
Sony doesn't.
No, they don't. Yes, and they've angered the Marvel fans, and they just don't realize it.
Oh, I think I don't know if they understand that they lost the war of publicity.
Well, they don't care.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They don't care. I don't think they realize how much it's going to hurt them in the long run. But Sony only learns by failure.
But you got to understand, based on their press releases, right? What they don't have a concept of it that they could fail. They think that all of the new success with Spider-Man is due to them.
They do.
They don't seem to have a clue about reality. So
that it was all built off of the back of the MCU.
Mm-hmm. They have this false sense of security. It's like you're on a good team and the quarterback thinks he's really great, but his running back is running for like 300 yards a game, and his receiver can just catch anything. So he goes, it's Patriots. Every time the Patriots have a backup quarterback, the NFL remarkably overvalues him, and someone picks him up for a lot of money, and he's very average.
Yes.
Yep.
So true. Oh my God, yeah, that's a great analogy.
Thanks, man.
Oh my God, yes. But yeah, no, exactly. It's like, I mean, the heck, it was introduced in Captain America Civil War. Like, that's what made so many people excited.
2 years after a failure of Amazing... A year and a half after the failure of Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right. Because that was the whole thing. Because Marvel knew, like, we got to be careful on how we handle all of this because Amazing Spider-Man 2 left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Oh, well. Well, I think we've complained enough for the week, guys.
Are you sure? I mean, I could probably fit in some more. Yeah, no, that's enough. I'm actually tired.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in it for this week, boys and girls. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you check out superheroespeak.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at superheroespeak. And, of course, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/superheroespeak. And yeah, check us out there. But until next time, as always, don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.